a lot of people didn't really have this understanding of um, Roma culture. They just knew the stereotypes. So I think that's what's so important about being on social media is now we have the platform to reach people from all over the world and help them understand about Roma culture. Even people who aren't even from Europe or they haven't even heard about Roma culture before. So I have a lot of people, from places like Africa or Native Americans, for example, who've never heard about Romani people because they don't really have Romani communities where they live. But now they're getting to understand Romani culture, and they're finding similarities in the way that we have both had resilience throughout history.
Welcome to the podcast Amaro Voice. Amaro is from the Romani language and means our. Our Roma, Sinti, and Trevor voices among Europe and also the world. My name is Samuel Mishi. I'm from Germany and I'm journalist and Roma activist. Today I will interview Florian Tacorian. He's known as YouTuber, where he has over 149,000 followers and 247 uploaded videos. Hello, Florian. Thank you for being our guest on Amaro Voice. Of course, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you for having me. Tavem Bachtale. My name is Florian. I'm from Romania originally, but I live in the United States now. And I am a Romani YouTuber, social media content creator. I also do TikTok and Instagram as well. And I make videos generally about Romani history, culture, and then other related cultures and histories as well, and trying to connect us all together.
Mhm. So, I would like to ask you, how did you started being content creator about Romani people, like example YouTube or other platforms like you explained TikTok, and what was your motivation?
Yeah, of course. So I didn't originally start off like planning to make content about Romani people, Romani history at all. I started off on TikTok when I was only 16 years old, just a teenager in high school, and TikTok was really starting to blow up. And I saw different videos about people like embracing their culture, being proud of their cultures, and making videos like just talking about their traditions, like their traditional dress, the what foods they eat, and stuff like that. And I was like, I take a lot of pride in my cultures as well. So let me, start making some videos about my cultures. And, that's really where it started. Then I started seeing a lot of like misinformation about Roma on the internet, like especially in my comment sections. I was seeing a lot of stuff that didn't really match up with what I knew about our people and our culture. And these stereotypes were just very fervent around in the internet. And I wanted to combat that in some sort of way because most of the videos, in fact, if not all of the videos that I was seeing about Roma people, were not made by Roma at all. They were made by Gajem, and they were largely inaccurate. So I wanted to just give a Romani perspective when there was conversations being had about Romani people. I think that we deserve a seat at the table. So that's really how it started out, and then from TikTok, I just like gradually started making videos about about stuff I saw in my comment sections, like common misconceptions, people asking me to explain some sort of stuff, some sort of things in Romani culture, because a lot of this ignorance is coming from people just not understanding our culture because they really have not had like conversations with our people to really understand it. So that's really where it started, is just me having conversations with different people to like explain different aspects of our culture that aren't really explained well on just a Google search. um, and then from there, I started uploading my TikTok videos to YouTube, and a lot of people wanted more like detailed, like history explanations on our history, like our subgroups, and just like all of Romani culture in general. So that's really where I started my YouTube career, and we go on from there.
So, when you started to create content, so how did you came up with making research and finding on topics? So, like in Europe, we have a lot of workshops and seminars, example about Romani people, where you can educate yourself. So, I would like to know because this is also interesting for us when we started this podcast. We wanted to focus first on Romani people from Europe. Then we realized, of course, because of English, because I was doing this work before just in German language, and we realized because of English, we have a lot of listener or people who are watching from the USA. So I don't know many about Romani people from USA. So it's also interesting for me. So how did you came up to find some information about, like example, your community?
Yeah, of course. So in the United States, we do not have those types of workshops. So there really isn't many resources for people wanting to learn about Roma in the United States. From the start, it was really because when I was starting, I was just talking about like my culture in general. So I was really just speaking from my own personal experiences. A lot of the stuff I was saying was like stuff that my parents taught me. So like my parents have been like a huge resource in like teaching me stuff. And sometimes like I'm even talking with like my mom and she's saying like, oh, like I told you a story and then like next day I see it on TikTok. um but going beyond that, it's like I can only speak on my experience as like Rom from Romania, but obviously people wanted to know more about like Amare Romenge at large, around the whole world. So that really required for me to start doing research. So I read books by Romani historians, such as Ian Hancock, and I've also talked with people from different communities. So a really good thing about TikTok is that it's allowed me to reach so many people from like I think I've talked to Romani people from at least every single country in the world so far, where there is like a significant Roma population. And just messaging with them and like them telling me, okay, like I saw your videos. This is really interesting. This is how we do this tradition. I saw that you do it this way, and just that like comparison between our different cultures is something that I think that's like 60% of where I get my information from is just talking with other Roma people.
And also, yeah, thank you very much. And also, like I explained, so we in Europe, example, there are many NGOs and also they create event workshops. One like biggest event is Dikinabista. It's about commemorational like youth experience, and also where many young people from different European countries meet in Auschwitz in Poland for the 2nd of August. And so, and also there's many other festivals. So how the communities, like I don't know, of course USA is also bigger than Europe as country, and so how are the Roma people connected in the USA? So do you know,
Yes.
do you have something like NGOs or festivals where you meet? Maybe it's complicated for the whole country, but maybe like in your city or state.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I would love to go to like Deacon Vista and all of the different NGOs and groups they have in Europe. In America, it's like we're just getting started. So, this April for International Roma Day, we had a Roma flag raising in Chicago with the World Roma Federation, which is an NGO based in the United States, working with the Roma people. And that was really cool to just see our community like finally like that was like the second time that's ever happened in the United States where the Roma flag was raised in like a major city like Chicago. So we do have like some events, but for the majority of Roma people in the United States, it's like we're very separated. So like the American Roma are more separated from like the immigrant Roma who are coming more recently, as opposed to the American Roma who have been here for a few centuries. So usually we just like stay in our community. So I like personally, I see a lot of our Romanian Roma community at like church. So like when we have like our Easter celebration, that's like when all like the Romanian Roma in my city like we gather together. So that's basically the extent to like the way we have events together. But I would love to organize more events in the future and really unite our communities. That's something that I've been really focusing on is uniting the American Roma community with Roma from Europe.
Yeah, that's also interesting. I remember, like I explained to Deacon Vista many years ago, we had some few Roma people from the USA, or this year we had also, I think, one Roma woman or Roma man, I'm not sure anymore, but somebody from Brazil. And this is also interesting that to connect with people who are maybe far away, but maybe have similar issues or similar stories and similar experiences. We are coming now to a rubric called Learning Romani Language. learning Romani language. So on learning Romani language, we like to share always in every episode 3 words with our guests and example. So I would like to ask you: do you speak Romani language? And if yes,
Yes.
which dialect do you speak?
Yes, I speak the Romani language, Calderaș dialect, Calderar, from Romania. So there's a lot of Calderaș around the world. So the one I speak is more specific to Romania.
Yeah. So my dialect is called Arli.
Mhm.
It's a dialect for Roma from the Balkans. Maybe you heard about it. So I have 3 words or phrases. So the first phrases is very simple. It's like, how do you say, how are you?
We say Sarsan.
Okay, so we say Saryan. So the next one, how would you say when? Like when you will you come home? So like yeah, when?
Yeah, Kana. We say Kana.
Okay, we say Keda. I think it's similar. And
Yeah.
maybe the last one is very maybe different dialects is maybe the same. I don't know. So how would you say why?
Why? We say Sostar.
Okay, interesting. I heard it for first time. We say Soske.
I've heard that one a lot.
Yeah. So this was learning Romani language. Learning Romani language. So why is it important for creating digital content on social media, like example on YouTube or TikTok, as somebody who is part of the Romani community and doing content about the Romani community, like do or maybe this podcast as an example.
Social media right now in our generation is such a big thing. Like it's really like connecting everybody, and it's had such a like huge impact. Like it even impacts like presidential elections. So the social media has really had such an impact on uh, all of our people today. So I would say that what's important about being Romani on social media is that, as I said before, people really didn't have an outlet to really hear about us from us. So a lot of times they hear about Romani people from Gaja. They hear about us from misinformed sources that really don't understand the Romani culture or community and haven't really, spent time with the community to understand a lot of various things. Like it's one thing to just read about Romani people, and it's another thing to actually experience it and see like it's very multifaceted. So I think that's what is so important about being Romani people in this digital space is really counteracting those stereotypes. Back in like the day before social media, a lot of people, everything they knew about Romani people was just, stereotypes that was passed down from generation to generation, all the way from like slavery. And so they really didn't understand uh, Romani people because they didn't like nobody was really having like long conversations with, a Rom to like understand. Um, and even us, like we have been like for a large part of our history, we've been very secretive. Like I don't know if like this is the same for your clan, but it's like you're not supposed to share the language. You're not supposed to share the way we do things. You're not supposed to, a lot of times you're not even supposed to say you're Rom to non-Roma. So a lot of people didn't really have this understanding of um, Roma culture. They just knew the stereotypes. So I think that's what's so important about being on social media is now we have the platform to reach people from all over the world and help them understand about Roma culture. Even people who aren't even from Europe or they haven't even heard about Roma culture before. So I have a lot of people, from places like Africa or Native Americans, for example, who've never heard about Romani people because they don't really have Romani communities where they live. But now they're getting to understand Romani culture, and they're finding similarities in the way that we have both had resilience throughout history.
In the beginning when I started with social media about Roma, it was maybe 7, 8 years ago. So it triggered me because all the time in the media, and also I was working for German media, and all the time when you saw somebody
Mhm.
about Roma, especially in Germany, we say
Exactly.
Sinti and Roma. So it was always negative from people, from journalists or other people who are not non-Roma. So it was always negative. So by the beginning, I was thinking, okay, how we can change the narrative. And I was just doing Instagram stories about famous Romani people. So like for the start, so just trying something to change narrative. And I think uh, something like what you do is very good because you really change the narrative. You show positive. You are what you do with your content as a role model also, but also you show other role models and you educate people. Like people also still in
Yeah.
Germany, the mostly people don't know what Roma is. So if you
Yeah.
say I'm Roma, they think you are from Italy. So as example, you know. So my next question. So content creator nowadays, of course, deal with a lot of hate speech, hate comments, and even people who are Romani or Sinti or other minorities as part of the community. If you do this kind of work, also like other content creators, you'd even deal more with hate comments. So I can remember in my last 4 years when I started with podcasts, I had a lot of
Mhm.
racist hate comments from neo Nazis on TikTok, on YouTube, everywhere where they can do so. How do you deal with this? Do you get hate comments, and how you solve this to not let
Yeah.
destroy your work? You know what I mean? To not because it can be very stressful if you just read hate comments.
Right. And it is like a daily experience, and I think any Romani person on social media can relate. Every single time I post about Romani people, there's various hate comments from comments that are just ignorant to comments that are calling for like the end of our people. So I would be lying if I said it doesn't affect me, because it does. And I wish like these comments, wouldn't exist. But what I try to focus on is like, for all of these like negative comments, there are a bunch of positive comments of people saying, "Thank you so much. You've changed my perspective on things. You taught me something new. You really helped me educate other people as well." So I would say that you know I've even gotten comments from like other Roma who are saying like, "Why are you sharing this stuff about our culture? Why are you revealing this stuff? Like, God, you're gonna hate us regardless." And there is some extent where that is true, but there is also this idea that out of like the entire world's population, only like 7% of people even know that Roma exist. And let's say like half of those people hate Roma, and like whatever I say is not going to change their mind. They're just gonna, it's gonna go into one ear and out the other, and they're not really gonna understand the stuff that I'm saying. But there is also this like 93% of the world who doesn't know that we exist. And if I can reach them as well, like I said, like reaching people from like Asia, like India, Africa, the Philippines, who don't know about us, and starting it off with like a positive representation, so they can see Romani people for who we actually are, instead of those stereotypes, like getting to them before the stereotypes get to them, I think is something that's really great. And I think the comments that I've gotten from people, especially from India. A lot of people in India don't even realize that Romani people exist, and just those comments that are showing me that there are people who care. There are people who want to know more. Even in Europe, like there are people who are stuck in their ways, and they will never want to hear the Roma cause out. But then there are also people who have said like, "Oh, like I used to be bigoted. I used to be a racist against Roma, but seeing your videos have changed my mind." And I think that that's really powerful, and that just motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing, because as long as there are people who are benefiting from this content, it's worth doing.
In the beginning, it was like from 10 comments when I had nine
Yeah,
positive, and then it was just one negative. I
right.
was
Yeah,
always
same here.
this one negative was changing my mood. So, but I tried somehow to deal with. We need to do it. If everybody who do this kind of work, you need to try to find somehow to deal with it. But also I like one style in TikTok. Like example, if you create your content and you say I will talk about some example as some topic, and you create a video and you get hate comment, and now this new function you can tip on the
Yeah,
comment to like create a new video where you people can see the comments, so you can have easily also as a content creator on comments new content, but also you can show the people how this kind of
exactly.
anti-Judaism
Yeah.
in the social media is. So I would like to ask you, so what is your favorite social media platform? What you use, like YouTube, TikTok, or other platforms? So Which one is for you better to work with?
That's a good question. I think um I started off with TikTok, and I think that's still my main platform to this day. I think it's a lot easier to reach people on there. YouTube is also very great. I love like the long form videos. I like even before TikTok was a thing. Like I always loved YouTube. I was um, saw a lot of value in like those long form videos, but I think especially in this generation we do have very like short attention spans. So I think it's TikTok and YouTube Shorts has been a great way to like really reach people, um, and then get them interested, and then after they're interested, after they start learning more, then they can go on and watch those longer form videos. So I think just in like ease of like using the application, I think TikTok for now has been my main platform, and I think it's the one that's been easiest to like reach people. But then YouTube has also been like a really great resource to make those longer videos and really explain on my thoughts, because like one of my main problems with TikTok is that sometimes like these are short videos, so I can't really get all of my thoughts across. So in YouTube it's nice to like get to get like a full like video essay or mini documentary out where I can like include sources and really give like the full picture.
So, thank you. And also, what are your future plans? Um, will you do more like on YouTube, TikTok, or do you have another future plans uh, to, to upload about like different videos about Romani people?
Yeah, so I think with the digital space, it's always like very uncertain what's next. Like even with TikTok, it might get banned in the United States. There's talks about that. So I really don't know exactly like what's next, but I do know that I want to like partner more with like different organizations. Like a really exciting project that I have coming up is like with the European Roma Institute of Arts and Cultures and Yale University, where I'm making a mini documentary about the lives of like four different Roma Holocaust survivors from the archive, and that's going to be a YouTube series that I'm going to be posting next year. So I think that's going to be something that's very interesting. So definitely a lot more partnerships, a lot more like growing the channel out, and using more resources as well. I definitely want to like travel more next year and like go to like different Roma events in Europe and stuff like that, and get to show off Romani culture um, in real life, because like it's one thing to just like talk with like a green screen in the background, and it's another thing to actually like be at those events and like get to interview people and get to like really show like what these events are about. So that's something that I aspire to, is like to be able to do something like that, like um, and expand my content creation in that way. And then also like something I'm also very passionate about is like acting. So I would love to also like you know work with like filmmakers in Hollywood and like make films about Romani people, and uh, create more representation in like traditional media as well. So I would say like those are some of my more long term goals for this journey.
I really wish you good luck about this. Also, we need more Romani people
Mhm,
and
definitely.
people who are acting like for Hollywood and in movies. Maybe in next future
Hopefully.
Marvel or DC movies where we have also Romani characters. Maybe then you will have something like a role. So on this podcast, we like always to ask our guests about the anecdotes. Like, do you have something, a story related to your work? Yeah, to share with us like a short story.
Yeah, I would say like in general, something I've experienced like in Romani communities, even in my own family, is like um, there is a lot of the stereotypes that Romani people face really affect people in a very large way. So someone can know you your whole life, and they can say like, "Oh wow, this person is, such a great person. I would trust them with my life. I think they're so intelligent." And then they find out you're wrong, and then it's like their whole attitude shifts. Oh, like he might be a criminal. He might. They just think of you in a more negative way, like, oh, he's probably not that educated as I thought he was. And that really affects a lot of people. So a lot of Roma in the United States, especially, and also in Europe, especially in Romania, they hide their identities. I've gotten a lot of comments like this that where people have told me like, "Oh, I am also Roma," but I've never said this like publicly before. Even in the United States, like they say like, "Oh, I'm Roma," but we tell people we're like from different countries. We never say that we're Roma. And I think that is really sad because, in a way, it is kind of like losing our culture. I've seen like a lot of like different Roma communities where like the younger generation, they don't really speak Romani, or they just know a few words. And it's because like it is kind of like a shame. Like a lot of people are ashamed of being Romani because of these stereotypes, because of the stuff they hear, and it does get to us. Like it gets to me, it gets to like all of us. Like just hearing all of these like constant negative things about us, and like feeling like there's no way to escape. But what I can say personally from like my experiences as a social media content creator, and just getting to interact with people from all over the world, is that there is an opportunity for us to be Roma and proud. There is an opportunity for us to be able to be proudly Roma, to speak our language, to have our own television shows, have our own movies, have our own like radio shows, yeah, our newspapers, our own schools. There is an opportunity for that, and I think the more we become vocal about our culture and like not hide it. It is a very hard thing to ask of people because it is these stereotypes are very much still real, and you do have to face the consequences of that. But I think it is also very important for us to kind of reclaim our identity in a way and be proud Roma.
You know, you mentioned very, very good things, and also what I experienced when I was saying people that I'm Roma, and because for them I don't look like a Roma because they think I'm Turkish or I don't know other migrant groups. So then they get mad because they don't see the stereotypes in me, and I don't look for them. I don't look like Roma, and then they say like, "Oh, but you are different than other Roma," and then they get mad that I'm not like the stereotypes, because in their heads, in their minds,
Exactly.
the Roma only exists with the stereotypes, like, and then they get cringe and mad and like and have this always this discussions with people. So
Of
thank
course,
you
it was
for
a pleasure
being
for me as
our
well.
guest. It was a pleasure for me to talk with you. So, do you have any closing words?
I would just say that thank you to like everybody for listening. Thank you, Senor, for giving me a platform to speak today. And I would say that the future for Romani people is bright, and we have a long way to go. But I'm excited for our journey ahead.
We will add your all your social media links in the description, and then our listeners or people who watch us, then they can just follow you and also watch your content. Thanks for watching or listening. See you next time. Ciao and der Blesser.
Devasa.
This podcast is funded by the Stiftung Erinnerung, Verantwortung und Zukunft EVZ as part of the project Amaro Voice, digitale Bildungsarbeit über die Communities der europäischen Sinti und Roma bei der NGO Medien und Kulturzentrum Deutscher Roma e.V.